Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. We are doing the chapter The Making of the National Movement, and under this chapter, we are doing the happenings during the Second World War, in which we have seen the Quit India movement that was started in 1942, and after this movement, we find that there was we can say it was a successful movement, because during the war only it was announced by the British Prime Minister Italy that India will be given independence after the Second World War, after the end of the Second World War. And accordingly, we find that when in the year 1945 Second World War ended, after that again thus elections were held in 1946 for the provincial legislatures, and in this election also we find that the Congress performed well in those constituencies which were in which Hindus were in majority, or we can say which were general constituencies. But in the constituencies where Muslims were in majority, the Muslim League performed very well. And so that was also a new development of this period, that the Muslim League started to demand an independent states. And this resolution was given by Muslim League in 1940, that the Muslim majority areas of India, like the northwestern India and the eastern part of India, should be given independent, should be made independent states. And then we see that this cabinet mission, three-member committee of this British cabinet came to India to examine the demand of the Muslim League, and to suggest what should be done, what should be a suitable political framework for free India. And the mission suggested for a loose confederation in which the Muslim majority area should have some autonomy. But we find that the Congress and the Muslim League also not agreed on the details of the proposal, and that is why this proposal of loose confederation was not a success. It was a failure, and after that it became clear that now India will be partitioned. And one more thing is there that we see, that after the failure of this cabinet mission, the Muslim League decided that now it's time to act. It decided to start mass agitation for the formation of Pakistan. And then we see that this direct action day was announced by Muslim League on 16th August 1946, and from this day we can see that riots broke out in Calcutta, and these riots were happening, peoples were dying, and all the violence and mishappenings were done. And we see that it was continued till March 1947, and it was not only concentrated to Calcutta, but it spread to other parts of northern India especially. So the violence, the riots were going on, and hundreds and thousands of people were killed. So many women had to face untold brutalities during the partition. So not only this, we find that millions of people were forced to leave their homes, and it was the things were happening in such a way that now India is for Hindus and Pakistan is for Muslims, because the partition was done on the line of religion only. So now the Hindus who were living in Pakistan, now they have to leave that place, and the Muslims who were living in India, they had to leave this place. So the country where they used to live, the country which were their country, just a night ago, we can say, during 24 hours, what happens that this country becomes an alien country for them. So on both sides of the border, the minorities faced so many brutality and torture by the majority community. In India, the Muslims were targeted, and in Pakistan, the Hindus were targeted. And then this displacement of population took place. Population from the Hindus from Pakistan started to coming to India, and Muslims from India started to go to Pakistan. So we find that getting independence was a matter of joy for the Indians, but at the same time we experienced the pain and violence of partition also. So this is the end of your chapter, and now we will see there is some information in the box, that is elsewhere, what was happening elsewhere during this time only. So we see nationalism in Africa, Ghana, which is a country in Africa. We will see what was happening in Ghana in a very brief. We will see it. So now we are doing this. Nationalism in Africa, the case of Ghana. So we find that in the late 19th and early 20th century, we witnessed the rise of nationalism in many Afro-Asian countries, because all these Afro-Asian countries are countries which were the colony of the European powers. So during this time, this 19th and 20th century, late 19th and early 20th century, there was rise of nationalism in these countries. And what we find that how this nationalism arose, why this nationalism arose in these countries, because of anti-colonial struggle for independence. The same thing which we experienced in our country, the same thing was happening in other countries also, in other countries of Africa and Asia, because in these countries, we can say, the feeling of nationalism arose with this struggle against the colonial power. That became the reason for the growth of nationalism, as we have seen in our country. Why this nationalism arose? Because we were under the exploitative rule of the British, and this exploitation of British, this ill treatment done by the British it became a binding factor for the Indians. We were not united on the lines of language or religion or culture, because India is a country of diversity, but this factor, the exploitative rule of the British, of the colonial power, was the most important factor which united the people of India, and the same case was with many other countries who were under the colonial rule. And we see that in Africa, the colonial rule was dictatorial. Dictatorial means it was a kind of dictatorship, in which we see that only the chiefs were allowed to rule on behalf of the foreign powers. The rulers were the we can say the people who belong to that country only. The chiefs, they belong to those countries only which were under the colonial rule. But these chiefs, they were ruling on behalf of the foreign powers. They were not ruling according to their own need, according to their own desire, according to their own interest, but they were ruling according to the interest of the foreign powers. And we see that such laws were created in all white legislatures. The legislature of these countries was full of white people. White people means the Europeans. So the country was, in this way, the country was under the rule of the alien power. Africans had no decision-making power. They were not having any decision-making power. They were not having any representation in the government, because the legislature, which is the representative body in any government, that legislature was full of all the white people, black people, the original people or the indigenous people of these countries were not given representation in the legislature. So till Second World War, this condition was prevailing in almost all the countries of Africa, and it was also happening like forcible takeover of land from local owners or users. जो local owners हैं उनसे forcibly land ले लिया जाता था. Tax, increased taxation, बहुत ज़्यादा टैक्स लगाया जाना. Poor working condition, है ना. The Africans, they were forced to work in a poor condition. So these were the causes for the dissatisfaction among the people in Africa. And one such country of Africa was Ghana, where we see that in the year 1957, we find that it became the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence. Till 1957, this Ghana was known as Gold Coast. It was known as Gold Coast. Okay, and it became the first sub-Saharan country which got independence. And here in Ghana, the freedom movement, the leader of the freedom movement was Kwame Nkrumah. Just like in our country, Gandhi was the leader. In the similar way, in Ghana, the leader was Kwame Nkrumah. Okay, so he was the leader, and his party, like Congress, the Indian National Congress, was the party which led the independence movement in India. In the similar way, in Ghana, the party, the name of the political party was Convention People's Party. The leader is Kwame Nkrumah, and the party is Convention People's Party. Okay. So we see that this how they fought for their freedom. They went for strikes, boycotts, mass rallies, all the measures which were adopted in India in the similar way. And in 1951, we see that this party won a huge electoral victory in Ghana, and it opposed the existing system in which the British ruler had allowed the chiefs to nominate representatives to the legislature. This was the system in Ghana, that the chiefs, they were given this power that they can nominate, not elect, nominate, है ना. नॉमिनेट का मतलब वो जिसको भी चाहे वो उसको they can select, है ना, कोई इलेक्शन नहीं हो रहा है, देयर इज़ नो क्राइटेरिया कि कोई उनको किसने वोट दिया नहीं दिया, कितने लोगों ने उनको पसंद किया, नथिंग वॉज काउंटेड, ओनली कि द चीफ will nominate the representatives to the legislature, and the chiefs were working on behalf of the colonial powers. So chiefs, they usually nominate the only the white people to the legislature. That is why we find that the blacks were not given, blacks, or we can say the original people, the indigenous people of Ghana were not given representation in the legislature. So now when this elections started to be held in Ghana, because of protest of the people, the colonial power had to take this decision of conducting election, and when elections were conducted, this party, Convention People's Party, it won the election, and after that it started opposing this system of nominating the representatives to the legislature, which nomination was done by the chiefs. So it started protesting, opposing this system, and it pressed the British to grant a legislature that contained no nominated or special members, है ना. So what was the demand of this party, Convention People's Party? The demand was that there should be a legislature in which there will not be any nominated member or a special member. The member should be elected. And this demand of Convention People's Party was accepted by British in the year 1954. And then we see that elections were held to the new legislative councils in 1956. 1954 में उनके डिमांड को मान लिया गया और 1956 में elections होते हैं, and what we see that the Convention People's Party won the election, and thus it paved the way for the proclamation of an independent nation under the name Ghana. So in this way Ghana became an independent country. इन्होंने डिमांड्स रखने शुरू किए, और जब डिमांड्स इनकी मान ली गई, लेजिस्लेचर, ये पहले जो लेजिस्लेचर था उसमें नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर होते थे, नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर की जगह पे इन्होंने रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बॉडी की डिमांड की कि जो लेजिस्लेचर है दैट शुड बी एन इलेक्टेड बॉडी. तो इस तरह से इनकी डिमांड को मानते हुए जब इलेक्शन होता है 56 में, तो इलेक्शन में क्या होता है कि ये इनकी पार्टी जो है वो जीत जाती है ना. सो इन दिस वे वी फाइंड दैट Ghana got independence. So we have completed this chapter now, and now we will do the questions which are given at the end of the chapter. Will be done. The answers will be given in the Microsoft Teams, and some very important questions are there, which will be your extra questions, and the extra questions will be done. Okay, so extra questions which are from between the chapter. So we will start doing this extra questions. So the first question is, what do you mean by sovereignty? Okay, and now we will see the next question. The next question is, what were the causes of intensification what were the causes of intensification of dissatisfaction dissatisfaction with the British rule in the 1870s and 1880s. So, we will be doing some more questions in the next class.